Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a slow, calm, resourceful breath. And as you exhale, just release any tension around your eyes and your eyelids and feel any tension leave in your outward breath, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed just by breathing in and breathing out. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to recall times of intense anxiety and try and think of a time when you were highly anxious, when you were also deeply relaxed. Try and think of a time when you were panicking while simultaneously having long, slow, deep outward breaths. Try and think of a time when you were anxious, when your mind was thinking slowly and deliberately, that you were making evaluations, that you were in control, you were safe, and you could handle things. I want you to imagine you are piecing the puzzle of anxiety together, realizing that anxiety is not something that happens to you. It's something that you create. And normally, anxiety is created through unconscious thoughts, evaluations, predictions of the future. And while you're not in control of the first thought, I want you to imagine that you can control the things that follow. The first thought may be that you can't handle this situation, and realize that you have the ability to continue the sentence. You might follow the sentence with, "And yet, I'm going to try anyway." Or you might follow the sentence with, "In which case I have nothing to lose." Realize there are so many ways that you could continue a sentence that starts with an anxious thought and leads to a feeling of courage, bravery, and empowerment. Breathing in and breathing out and releasing any tension in your neck and shoulders, allowing your arms and legs to feel all limp and loose and relaxed as you feel a wonderful feeling of letting go. And one of the things to let go of is the idea that anxiety is haunting you, following you, that you are a victim and anxiety is the perpetrator. And instead to believe that you are accidentally creating anxiety based on the thoughts, beliefs, and evaluations that you have about your life and the possibilities that follow. As you breathe in and breathe out, realize that you already have a roadmap of a life where you can handle all the different things that you think you can't. And that's to do the exact opposite. Instead of evaluating the idea that you can't, make an evaluation that you can. Instead of predicting that things will go wrong, predict that things will go right. As you breathe in and breathe out, feel an increasing desire to experiment with different thoughts, different ideas, different evaluations, and different things to believe. And sometimes it can be difficult. So there is a way to activate highly resourceful states, even when you have no evidence that things will go the way you want them to go. And sometimes you can act as if you have all the resources you need. Act as if you have the confidence. Act as if things will go perfectly. Act as if you can handle whatever life throws your way. And as you start to act as if, you realize that you are unlocking the latent resources that are already within you. Some people try to fake it until they make it. But instead, I want you to believe it until you achieve it. Because otherwise there is a paradox. If you need to achieve it in order to believe it, you will never do the steps necessary to give you the evidence that things are possible. So instead, let's try the opposite. To believe that things will be okay until they are okay. To believe that you can do things you didn't think you can until you're doing them. And then you have the very evidence that you're looking for. Allow your unconscious mind to be willing to believe things even without the evidence yet. Some people call it faith. Some people call it trust. Some people call it courage, and other people bravery. But I wonder what would happen when you start doing the things you think you can't do and realizing that you can do them. That whenever the symptoms of anxiety start to rear their head, you're able to slow down your breathing. You're able to release muscle tension. You're able to extend the thoughts and evaluations that are detrimental into positive, empowering thoughts that give you an idea that you have more control than you think you have. Breathing in and breathing out, I want you to think of some things that have been outside of your comfort zone. And rather than seeing them as barriers and things that are impossible for you, see them as things that are evidence that change is possible. Not that if you do those things, but when you do those things, you will be more able to believe that you can do other things outside of your current belief system of what is possible. Imagine lying on a grass verge looking up at the blue sky, and imagine a white fluffy cloud. Imagine floating up into the sky, and imagine that anxiety is a cloud that you can navigate through, understanding that anxiety itself is created by your thoughts. Imagine each anxious thought as a leaf flowing down a river. Acknowledge it and just let it drift away, understanding that all anxiety is temporary. Nothing you can't handle. See the symptoms of anxiety as a signal, not a setback, guiding you to understand your deeper needs and thoughts. And picture yourself dealing with anxious moments calmly, observing it, and seeing it diminish as you get closer. Believe that you have the power to evolve and reshape your anxious thoughts into positive evaluations and reflections. And sometimes you can take those thoughts out of your head or a sensation out of your chest and just imagine holding it in your hands, then gently releasing it, watching it dissolve into nothingness. Acknowledge that anxiety is a creation of the mind, and you are the master of your mind. Remind yourself that moving towards the triggers of anxiety lessens its grip, giving you a sense of empowerment and control. And you can feel empowered knowing that your perception shapes your emotional response, not the other way round. In the past, you have allowed your thoughts to control your behaviors, but now imagine that your behaviors will influence your thoughts. Imagine anxiety as a puzzle that you can solve. You already know many of the pieces. Are your thoughts, beliefs, and evaluations. When you start to feel anxious, ask yourself the question: what evaluations am I making in order to feel this way? Realizing that the anxiety itself is letting you know exactly what pieces are in your puzzle. Imagine anxiety is like a shadow, and the actions that you take are like light. That shadow and light cannot coexist. And the more actions you take, the more elusive those shadows become. Visualize those anxious thoughts as just whispers in the wind. They may be there, but they are not overpowering and they do not control you. Imagine a child scared of monsters under the bed. As long as they believe the monsters are there, they feel the anxiety. But all it would take is for them to look under their bed to realize that the fears are not real. And I wonder, how many of your fears are just monsters under the bed that will disappear the moment you dare to look? Believe in your ability to transform the symptoms of anxiety into an opportunity for personal development and growth. Unleash the adrenaline junkie within you. Finding it harder and harder to feel anxious, the more of those things you choose to do. And feel that your own breath is a tool to manage anxiety, making the waves shallower and making the symptoms of anxiety last for less time. In the future, you will look back at this period of anxious emotions as a time of great insight and resilience. And when the penny drops, you'll realize that almost all anxiety is an illusion, and that you need to call the bluff of the anxiety. Once you realize that the anxiety is of your own making, refuse to believe until you go through the barrier that's been holding you back. When you peek behind the curtain and realize that it wasn't real anyway. Some people use the acronym for fear as false evidence appearing real. And I wonder how many of your fears are false, that just seem to be real because the emotions are real, but when you get close, the fear disappears. As you imagine your anxiety as a house of cards ready to crumble the moment you take consistent action towards it. Feel the power within you to redefine and repurpose your anxious energy into courageous, positive action. Imagine a future without anxiety and feel that this is not an intimidating, overwhelming future. It's a future of freedom, of connection, of possibility. I want you to believe that by getting through this temporary anxiety, it prepares you for the future that lies beyond it. There is no need to continue a life full of anxiety. You are capable and you deserve the future that lies beyond the boundary of the anxiety that you have created yourself. If your unconscious mind is willing to let go of the anxiety, to move beyond it, to create different emotions with different thoughts and evaluations, let me know by nodding your head. And now it's time to awaken. As you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect fully with the present moment as you now get ready to awaken, unleashing a deep feeling of courage and experimentation, willing to do different things and think different things, to realize that most of your anxiety isn't real and is simply an illusion of your own creation. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.